It's Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance, and we are joined today by Tom Evans. He is the Secretary-Treasurer of the Western Municipal Water District, which covers Western Riverside County. You are a very, very busy man, sir. Who knew when you took office 8 years ago we'd be facing such a dramatic drought? Could you talk to us about how the drought is impacting Riverside County? Of course, an inland county that's very hot and dry.
Well, it's impacting us because there's not enough water for just normal operation. So our customers who have already reduced by 25% over the last several years are being mandated to reduce another 32%.
And let's talk about that, because what you are referencing are the state water board conservation targets.
That's correct.
Governor Brown ordered the state to cut urban water use by 25%, but then each district got its own target. Right. Western was given one of the highest, 32%, the highest being 36%, the lowest being 8%. I understand recently statistics came out indicating that Western did not meet that target. It came in at about, was it 17%?
Right.
Which is still admirable, arguably, but you know, it's 15 points off what the state water board wants.
Well, it's only the first month in the process. We just implemented it. Customers are just now getting their bills. We have a rate structure that's specifically designed to help get customers down to the mandated level.
But is your rate structure one that you're penalizing users to the extent that you may be in violation of this San Juan Capistrano decision, which really requires water districts to focus on cost of service as opposed to penalty?
Well, our structure is based on cost of service. And it's a budget-based rate, so you get the first tier is for indoor use, 60 gallons per person per day, and it's customized based on how many people are in the home.
Oh, really?
So every customer gets a different amount, based on what their actual needs are. The next tier is for exterior use, again, based specifically on the amount of area that they have to irrigate. So somebody with a small yard doesn't get as large a budget as someone with a large yard.
And let me ask you about yards. When I think about your communities, by definition, your homeowners have large yards. That's why you live in Temecula. That's why you live in, you know, the hills of Riverside City. I mean, we moved there for a reason. And so it seems as if your customers probably will have a harder time to conserve than someone in urban Los Angeles with smaller yards and not as much agriculture or landscaping.
Well, plus it's not as hot.
And not as hot, well stated.
Yeah, and our customers, before this process, we had, like I say, we have this tiered structure.
Right.
The second one is you're in budget.
Right.
85 to 90% of the customers were already in budget.
Oh my.
So there's a very few, relatively speaking, that are above the budgeted amount.
So why do you think Western then was given such a high target of 32%?
Because it still goes back to the gallons per day per customer.
Right.
And they just divided it and said, here's how much you're using, your customers are using, and here's what the average is, here's what we want to get down to, and they gave us that goal.
So recently, there was a lot of excitement around the state result, which was about 27.5% reduction.
Right.
But the state water board kind of with a wink and a nod said, if you didn't meet that, we're going to come knocking. I have a feeling they're going to come knocking, you know, and what do you do about it?
Well, you talk to them, and again, we're only in the first month.
I understand. I understand.
Our customer, we have the turf replacement rebates are essentially used up.
I want to talk about turf and rebates, if I may.
Sure.
So MWD in Southern California engaged in a very aggressive turf replacement program. You were on the MWD for years, so and you just came off, so you know this well.
Right.
For 2015, I think they set aside about $100 million to start, and then another $350 million. So for a total of $450 million, it was gobbled up. At least that second chunk within weeks. I mean, it was remarkable how fast it was gobbled up. Were you surprised by that?
Well, no, because the trend was headed that way.
Right.
And it just shows how seriously customers are taking this and being aggressive about replacing turf and going to and it's not that you can just pave it.
Right.
You still need green, you still need plant materials that are desert or California friendly drought-tolerant
or
types
the
of
artificial
plants.
turf.
Or artificial turf, right.
But let me ask you, in the wake of the wild success of the MWD program, the naysayers are coming out. And what the naysayers are saying is, congratulations MWD, but when you look at incentive programs, turf replacement is just not as economical as we think it is. In fact, what's more economical is appliance replacement. And so I'm wondering if we got too excited about turf replacement and really should have been spending more money on appliance replacement. Because under the MWD program, I think it was like a 3-to-1 turf to appliance.
Well, we've been working on appliances for a long time.
Right.
You can't buy, the only kind of toilet you can buy in California is low flow.
Yes.
And those have been happening for years. So when you look at the use of water, the indoor use versus exterior, exterior use is like 70% of how much you totally use. We needed to focus on the exterior. So they focused on more efficient sprinklers, more efficient controllers that take weather into consideration, replacement of particularly turf that if the only reason you go on that turf is to mow it, fertilize it, or fix sprinklers, it probably doesn't need to be there.
Forgive me, I have to ask you about toilets.
Okay.
So you walk into a lot of public places and the toilets are automatic.
Yeah.
They have a mind of their own. You could walk in and they'll flush. You could be using it and then be in the midst of using it and they will flush. So we chuckle, but every time it flushes, that's wasting water.
Right.
And so I'm wondering, is it time that we reevaluate these automatic toilets because they're flushing with their own mind?
Well, again, it's just like any other tool. If it's not adjusted properly, it's not going to work to the manner in which you wanted it to. I personally haven't had that same experience.
I don't know what's going on with me.
But
think about it. I mean,
but they do need to be handled properly. You're absolutely right.
So is that is it an issue that's being discussed? Because I'm a wealth of irrelevant information, and I read about these things, and I had no idea that these automatic toilets, really they use a lot more water than non-automatic. And is that something we need to look at next?
Well, reevaluating all the rebates and all the appliances is certainly not unreasonable.
Right.
And again, it's a matter of how things are being adjusted. Just like when you go to a restaurant now, they're not supposed to offer you water.
Some still are.
Some still do. But they also give you a great big glass. Why not give you a smaller glass so you can ask for more?
I also want to ask about the approach districts are taking. It seems as if we're trying to be very nice to our customers.
Right.
And I'm wondering if it's time that we get mean. Fresno, for example, they're getting mean. Santa Cruz, they're getting mean. There are meting out fines. There's even a water school in Santa Cruz. Is it time, is this crisis serious enough that we need to say, look, we love you customers, but you're blowing it, you got to pay a fine?
Well, our pricing structure, our rate system will automatically do that.
Well stated, but still, some are still scofflaws. And if Fresno and Santa Cruz are issuing fines, why shouldn't Western? The argument goes.
Well, we have the rules in place for our management to do that, and have had them in place for quite some time. The process is warn somebody, try to help them, and then if they still don't comply, we will fine them, and we have some very small amounts. But our goal is to help people.
His name is Tom Evans. He is the Secretary-Treasurer of Western Municipal Water District in Western Riverside County. I'm in the Inland Empire today, and you are watching Charter Local Edition.